Welcome back to the Royals Review podcast. I'm your host, Dan Worth, joined by Rami, Jimmy, and from the sounds of things, Jimmy's cat. Reading just beat Wycombe 3-2 in a game that was pretty thrilling for all three of us to watch. Not necessarily the nicest watch on the eyes, but 3 points for Reading. Rami, I'll come to you first. How are you doing firstly, and what did you make of the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Still recovering from a great win on Saturday. But yeah, no, it was a good result. Not easy on the eyes, as you kind of said. I think Wycombe were the stronger team on the day. They had more chances. We're getting it towards our box more than they should have. But Marriott again, ole ole, I think is the best way to put it. Hat trick, first hat trick since about 2023, I think it was. And his first game where he scored multiple goals for Reading in a single game, which is quite a stat when you think about it, considering how many goals he's scored for Reading so far. Joint goal scorer in the League One now. I'm sure he's gonna smash it. I think he's got the golden boot in his locker at the moment, but we'll have to wait and see till the end of the season. You never know. But yeah, overall, for we got the job done. I think that's all that matters. We got the 3 points. We're 3 points away from sixth now. Huddersfield are having a bit of a lull, so if they could lose again, works for us. But yeah, that's my take so far.
Yeah, nice. I think it's much the same as mine, to be honest. I've got the game up here on who scored, and it's quite interesting when you look at the stats because pretty much all of them, bar aerial duels, are in Wycombe's favour. And of course, obviously, the final score is not in their favour, it's in ours. But yeah, really interesting game, I thought, because even at 2-0 at halftime, I think I tweeted, I was like, we're not home and host here. Like, we've been on the back foot for almost all of this game. And at 1-0, I was really worried. At 2-0, I was still quite worried. And then when we came out and went 2-1 behind, I was like, oh, goodness me, we're going to lose this 3-2. Then 2-2. But then I think it's like 60 seconds later after the ball's back in play, Marriott goes up the other end with a nice first touch pass from Savage and fires in a rocket to put us 3-2 up. And I don't know what it was, but when it went 3-2, I thought, right, that's it now. We'll win from here. But yeah, Jim, I'll come to you. What do you make of kind of, I guess, the dominance, the Wycombe dominance? Because, they really had us under the cosh for a lot of the game.
Yeah, they really did. And you could just kind of see it happening, really, couldn't you? Them eventually equalising, which they did. But like you just mentioned, a fantastic goal by Marriott to win it for us. I do feel like I keep saying, were we lucky? But I don't think we were lucky because Marriott is just class. He's got that in his locker. But, if Marriott wasn't there, I don't think, well, obviously, if he wasn't there, we wouldn't have won the match. But I do think, he really did save us there. I think Wycombe probably left the SCL feeling pretty disappointed that they weren't coming away with at least a point.
Yeah, I think their manager's post-match, he said, I would have been fuming if we'd left here with a point. So I'm extra angry that we're leaving here with none. Oh well. Who did I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about Kadan Young because we've been kind of crying on this podcast that we wanted to see him, particularly me. We got to see him this time. I thought relatively positive. I don't want to get too carried away and sing his praises crazy because I don't think he lit it up, but I thought he looked quite exciting and an improvement on what we've currently got available to us in that position. Rami, what did you make of Young's performance?
I'm the opposite of you, mate. He was sick. He was absolutely astounding. You can see he's a Premier League player. You can actually you can physically see he's a Premier League player. I think it was like 2 minutes in, somebody crossed the ball to him in the box. Didn't take it down, didn't do anything. He was like, I'm shooting this straight away.
Yeah.
And I think he half volleyed it, but just didn't have enough power on it, unfortunately, and it got saved. But those are the type of players you need, where it's like, you know what, I'm taking my chance here. I'm not going to wait around. I'm not going to wait for players to come into the box so I can pass it to them. And that shows that Premier League cockiness, that arrogance that some of the players kind of need to prove that they're from Aston Villa's or Liverpool's or Brighton, for example, for Kamari Doyle and the rest of them. So, for him, I thought he had a good game, especially because it was his debut. But there was just him watching him. You're like, yeah, he's a Premier League player. Some of the runs he was making, the positions he was getting into, how he kind of like positioned himself. He was playing as a wing back. He was playing as a winger. It was just constant. He knows what he's doing, and he's like raring to prove that he's got that quality. And I feel like he's proving that to Richardson. Obviously, he came off in the second half, but I think it was just to get him into the flow of the game, and then he brought some. I don't know who he brought him off for. Was it for Savage or was it
Yeah, I
for?
think it was Savage, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Paddy Lane came off at the same time as him, didn't he? And then
Yeah,
yeah. So it was a good game for him. I think good to see him on the pitch, but yeah, some of his passing, some of his running, defending, like just in general, he looks like a Premier League player, and I think he's the type of winger we've needed or Reading have needed for a very long time, since the start of the season. Really, I think he was what Paddy Lane should have been,
Mm.
and I think he's going to be fighting for his place now. I think Kadan Young's really going to be on the front foot. I don't know if he's going to bring. I don't know if Richardson would bring him on for Bolton because maybe as a second half sub, just because it's such a big game. It's a really important game. They're third, and if we beat them, Reading are in a very, very good position for the playoffs. So it's I don't know if he'll trust him to play such a big game, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, nice. I think it could only be a good thing, really, to have a player like Kadan Young that's full of confidence, that has
Yeah,
basically come here to prove, like, in all honesty, I'm way better than this level.
yeah,
There's no disrespect. It's just he probably knows that he's onto big things, and he just has to now come down to us and prove it. So that puts us in a great position because hopefully he will do that. So yeah, I'm excited about Kadan Young. I think we've got a player there who can, yeah, change games, and it's exactly the kind of person we need in that position because the guys we brought in the summer, in my opinion, haven't really done that as yet. Maybe they'll still prove me wrong. So Kadan Young came in. Two more changes that I wanted to discuss. I'll probably have to come back to you, Rami, for this, but I will ask you a question, Jim, shortly. Yedom and Dorset starting. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that, but do you have any insight as to why that happened, firstly?
Well, yeah, they're resting the players for Bolton. Like that was the
Yeah.
whole reason. You're like, he has a squad, he's going to have to use it. Dorset, he's going to play either way, whether it's in centre half, whether it's as a left back. Dorset is Richardson's man now. He trusts him in defence, so I think whether he was going to drop Pawdy, whether he was going to drop that Ward, whether it didn't really matter. I think he was going to get into the squad no matter what. But yeah, no, Roberts and Nyambe, they're both kind of needed rest, especially because as soon as they've come in, they've just been playing every single game, so they needed that time to just take a step back, especially Nyambe because he's been injured for a lot last season and this season. He hasn't played a lot of full 90 minutes, so resting him for the majority of the Wycombe game was the right thing to do. Wasn't a big fan of Yedom, and I think that I made that clear on my X and even on the Reading Chronicle. I made that clear that I wasn't a big fan of him, and I think a lot of the attack of the space and the attacks that Wycombe had were down to him being beaten by his man so many times, and not being in the right position defensively when he needed to be. But at the same time, he's still a veteran, like right back. He's still one of Reading's most consistent players. A bad game doesn't like change that. I just think that game was a bad day at the office for him, unfortunately. But I think he's starting to show that bringing in Ryan Yambi was the right thing to do. Bring another right back because I don't think that was a position even being mentioned like as a need. It was more the left back more than the right back. But this has proved why Nyambi was so important, especially with the Brefa being out or not out, but not in the squad, and Rinamota, who can play as a right back, also not in the squad. So he's been a major improvement, and obviously Dorset, I think he did a good job on the day. Didn't have a bad game. I don't think he made too many mistakes at all. But him and Roberts creating that good relationship. I think they learn from each other quite a bit. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of the similar to you. I thought it wasn't a great addition. I still thought it was a good, like a strong lineup, but I just didn't think I knew as soon as the fullbacks came in, I was like, it's to rest them for Bolton, because Bolton's a big game, and they're going to need Roberts firing on all cylinders, and they're going to need Ryan Nyambe firing on all cylinders as well. So,
yeah, I completely agree. We've kind of spoken about Bolton because we've suggested we sign most of their players in January, or players that they were going in for, and how strong they are on the wing. So yeah, whoever plays right and left back for Reading tomorrow night is bound to have a job on their hands. And yeah, I wasn't too impressed with Yiadom. Although admittedly he wasn't getting much protection from Paddy Lane. But yeah, we were kind of getting peppered down that side, and it wasn't overly pretty.
no.
Jim, last change, well, not actually a change because Fraser played in the game before, but Savage left out again, and Fraser from the off. I mean, Savage scored, got an assist, with pretty much his first touch of the game. But aside from that, I guess the question is, for Bolton, who are you picking in that position?
I think I'd go with Savage, just because I just think he's a workhorse. Like, he's got the energy and just won't stop running all game. That's not to say that I thought Fraser played particularly badly or anything. I just think Savage is much more suited to what I would imagine the game is going to go like tomorrow. Yeah, I think, when he came on, it was pretty, he picked up an assist within 45 seconds. He wasn't on for long at all until he put Marriott through to score what was the winner, with a pretty. It was a nice pass as well. Like, it didn't look easy, and yeah, put it on a plate for Marriott, really. So yeah, I'd be picking Savage tomorrow. I think. I'm assuming that's why he may have been left out against Wycombe. I know obviously there was a lot of talk about whether he was going to go in January, and then we saw him not start the next game. But yeah, I feel like it was like the defenders that didn't start. I feel like it's probably all down to energy levels and keeping them as fit as possible for what will be a massive, massive game tomorrow night.
Yeah, for sure. You've obviously not read Rami's article, but admittedly, neither have I. But I think he does answer that question there. So if anyone else wants the answer to that question, go read that article.
Yeah, we won't give it away on this podcast. Go get.
I'm happy to talk about it if you want to talk about it, but
yeah, go on then. Why not? Disclaimer: game is dropped, so listen.
Ever since Northampton, his one of the things. Obviously, data is not the end all be all of everything, but his ratings ever since the Northampton game, or even the game before, which was the game before that? Was it Barnsley or Exeter?
Exeter.
So after Exeter, something happened. I don't know what happened in terms of his play style, or if his teams start to figure him out, but his ratings just declined completely. And I even was looking at the data, or in terms of the passes it completed, what type of passes are completed during Northampton, Wimbledon. He produced, I don't think he produced more than in total 100 passes across those two games, whereas Lewis Wing was. And I don't know, so that's part of the thing I was analysing in the article, was he doesn't deal with man marking very well, whereas Liam Fraser does. So I think we've noticed it before in other games where Lewis Wing and Charlie Savage are now always being man marked by two players whenever they have the ball or whenever they're trying to move forward. Charlie Savage finds it hard to pass the ball forward when he's being man marked, so he always passes it back. Lewis Wing does a similar thing, but when he passes, he makes a run so he can get the ball back. Whereas Charlie Savage finds it a bit hard to do a similar thing, and he ends up kind of being in no man's land, not being able to receive the ball, not being able to pass the ball. Whereas Lewis Wing has that kind of, I don't know if it's down to experience, I don't know what it's down to exactly, or whether he just feels like he's got that kind of, strength and flair to him, but he always gets the ball forward, and he passes into the final third way more than Charlie Savage does. When you bring Liam Fraser into the squad, I think he's a bit taller than Savage, a bit stronger than Savage, that type of thing. It doesn't matter whether he could pass the ball forward or not, because he's got that defensive coverage. So even if Lewis Wing goes forward, Liam Fraser could just be there well, I'm a backup for you. I'm a holding midfield. I could be the holding midfielder here. I don't even need to pass. But when you have Charlie Savage and Lewis Wing they're basically both two creative midfielders, Lewis Wing is very defensively sound, don't get me wrong, but Charlie Savage isn't as defensively sound as Charlie Savage. So you just kind of stuck in no man's land. They're both getting man marked. He can't pass the ball. Lewis can, but when it comes to the counter attack, they're just stuck, and Lewis Wing has to do all the work. When Liam Fraser comes in, Lewis Wing doesn't have to do as much work. He kind of just he can trust Liam Fraser to do the tackles, get the ball, get the recoveries, and get the ball back forward. So it is a bit of a weird one. I do think part of it has to do with like resting him, but the consensus of the article now that's has been out for 24 hours, whatever, is I think, at least from the conversations I've had at the club and the conversations I had with Richardson after the games, he's sending a message which is no one is safe from being replaced. If you don't perform, I'm going to put someone up. If you don't fit what I'm trying to do, I'm going to bring someone else in. And I think that's a clear message he's trying to send. Obviously, Savage has been in the squad 3 seasons now, and he's played a majority of the games. For someone so young as well, he's been proper performing at a senior level, like more than he's playing at Lewis Wing's level, and that he's a few 8 years older than him. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, if you can't fit what he's trying to do, and if you can't help the team win games, if you can't help the team defend in certain aspects of the game, he'll bring someone else in, and that's why we have a squad, and that's why Liam Richardson keeps emphasizing the fact that it's a squad game. I'm going to use my squad to fit what we're trying to do here. So yeah, that's not like a slight on Charlie Savage. I think Charlie Savage is an incredible player. I think you should put him at the 10. That's my personal opinion, because he can pass the ball. His best quality is passing, and even if you speak to, like, I've spoken to Robbie Savage about it, Robbie Savage always says Charlie is a passer. He can pass from anywhere. He's consistent. He's accurate. Give him the ball, let him pass it. But in these sort of games that we have coming up, especially against teams that play low block or they do that high press and man mark, he kind of gets stuck, and it kind of shows with his output as well. Because last season he was one of the best in terms of goal involvements. This season he only has 4 goal involvements. So it kind of tells you a little bit about what's kind of going on there. But Charlie Savage, again, just to make it clear, incredible player. I think he's one of Reading's best players, but he needs to work on a few things in terms of positioning and in terms of dealing with pressure and being man marked. So
yeah, definitely. I think just to sort of add on to that, like me and Dan have spoken about it over a season, but Savage is probably the one player that you constantly see improvements, whether we've changed the formation when under Sellers and or whether it was under Hunt. Like, he has always managed to adapt and learn from it and still managed to perform at a good level. So like there's no doubt, if this is just another patch where it's he needs to learn and just change his game slightly, then I feel like Savage is he's that kind of player, that kind of man that could just pretty quickly adapt. I think he's such a valuable asset to this team. He's up there, one of my favourite players in this squad for sure. But no, I think what you mentioned definitely makes sense. It's kind of hard where to sort of pinpoint all the where it goes wrong in the midfield, because I know people complain about how it's set up and how Wing and Savage play too deeply and whether Kamari Doyle is good enough or not. And that's probably the one area of the pitch that didn't have sort of wholesale changes compared to what the squad was like last season. We lost Nibs and replaced him with Doyle. But I think, going off of what Doyle's ratings have been over the last few games, he's been pretty impressive with stats. So I think what you said is pretty much spot on, to be honest. But I'm still going Savage for his work rate for Bolton.
I agree. I'd bring in Savage for the Bolton game. I think it's the game he needs to be playing, especially those big games. He did it against Stevenage. Did it against, was it Rotherham as well? He's up for those big games. So definitely. Yeah. But even against Wycombe, I think he came on for Kamari Doyle, or he came on for someone, but Liam Fraser stayed on the pitch, right? So that means he either moved into the 10 or was like a third midfielder. Either way, do you know what I mean? So that 3 can work as a unit so well. It doesn't mean that they need to replace each other, but clearly Liam Fraser is starting to be like I need to be part of this squad, and he's proving it to Liam Richardson. So now those conversations are starting where it's like, oh, who do I start? Do I start Liam? Do I start Charlie? Do I put Charlie in the 10? Do I drop him for Kamari Doyle? It's like Liam has a job on his hands basically now. So
Yeah,
yeah.
For sure, yeah.
Cool. My biggest takeaway from all of that is it's quite nice to have a squad and have players that we can bring in. I've said that loads of times recently, but it feels good to be in that position. Right, time's ticking on anyway, so I reckon let's not talk too much about Bolton because we'll cover that literally tomorrow or the day after. But before we take them on tomorrow in what is a huge clash at the Select Car Leasing Stadium, I guess I need to get your score prediction. So, Jim, what's your score prediction for Bolton at home?
I'm going 1-1. I think Reading will be well up for it, but I also think Bolton, they're in great form. They've got great attackers. Our defence isn't particularly great at the moment, but we do have Super Jack Marriott. So, yeah, 1-1. Dalby, I think I'll go for Bolton, and then obviously Marriott for Reading.
Very nice. Rami?
I'm going 2-1 for Reading.
Yes.
I think it'll be similar to the Stockport game, because Stockport was a very difficult game. So I feel like there'll be a couple of goals across the two halves, but then there'll be a piece of magic at the last minute from either Savage, Wing, or Marriott to pip it in the last minute. That's what I'm going for. That's what I'm going for.
We're definitely due like a long range banger from either.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
So.
Yeah, it's been like 3 weeks or something. It's definitely due. Oh God, I really want Reading to win this game, but I think this is going to be so tough. But I'm definitely not going to predict a Bolton win, so I'm going to go for 2-2. I just, not to be deep, but I just can't see us keeping a clean sheet against Bolton. I think their attack is very strong. They have one of the best attacks in the league. Although, as I've said in the review of Wycombe, I think when we have Nyambi and Roberts in those positions, we are much stronger. But yeah, I'm going to go for 2-2. And to be honest, if that was offered to me right now, I would absolutely take that and we move. But all of us predict 2 draws and a win for Reading. So fingers crossed. But the reason I wanted to rush is because we've got quite a few questions. As you can imagine, most are about the playoffs. So, Jim, I'll go for you first. Do you think Reading can make the playoffs even though they're conceding lots of goals?
Right now, it's so hard because I'm not convinced. I know we got 6 points from the last 2 matches, but they just weren't super convincing wins, were they? I think tomorrow, like after tomorrow, I'd have a much better idea. I think tomorrow is such a good opportunity to see what we would potentially play like if we were to get to the playoffs and come up against some of the stronger sides in this division.
Yeah.
I think as of right now, I'd say we just miss out. I'm not being optimistic, perhaps. But I genuinely feel if we beat Bolton tomorrow, I feel like that answer completely changes.
Yeah.
So bad timing perhaps, but either way, it would be good to see how we play against what I think is one of the strongest sides in the division.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I brought this up the last time we spoke, right? But it feels to me that Reading play better against the better teams, and we've already seen that this season with solid performances against Cardiff and quite a lot of those teams that are in the positions above us.
Except for Bradford. That was the only one.
Yeah, true. Very true. But yeah, I guess to be fair, to answer the question in a different way, it is a bit of a concern for me that we are conceding a lot of goals. Like there are teams in the relegation zone that have conceded a similar amount of goals to Reading. So that is something that we do need to get better at. That said, if you're scoring more goals than you're conceding, then you'd be all right. And fortunately, with Jack Marriott, we have been doing that. But yeah, it is a slight concern. But yeah, if we can continue as we are and stay there or thereabouts, I'll be very happy. I don't know how either of you are going to answer this one without looking, so I'll just answer this one because I've looked. How many points do you think Reading will need to make the playoffs? And I think if we've got 15 games left, we need to pick up about 21 points, which is quite a lot of points, but that's based on the last 5 years. In fact, in all 5 years, the top 6 prediction has been really high, but this year it's 66 points. I think Reading are on 46 currently, so I've said 21, but I should have said 20. But still, that's what, 7 wins ish. Winning every other game, doable, but yeah, quite a tough one. So, yeah, winning 7 games feels very high for me, but we'll see. And I can ask both of you this one. In fact, all 3 of us can answer it. Which team do you want to play in the playoff semi-finals if we get there? Rami, you first.
Semi or final?
Well, they didn't specify, but I'm assuming semis.
Semi-finals, I'd go for Huddersfield.
Yeah.
Because they've conceded many goals. So clearly their defence is weak, or weaker than some of the top 6. So I think Reading would have a good chance of getting through to Wembley if they played them over 2 legs. Especially with all the turmoil they have at the club at the moment, they're not really in a stable position. So with the new manager, all of that stuff. So I think Reading would be a strong candidate to get into the playoffs then. Who are the other 3? Is it Lincoln, Bradford,
Stockport, Bolton?
Well, Bolton's going for automatic as they're pushing for, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, out of all of them, I'd pick Huddersfield.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's actually a tough question because, like, based on the previous part that I said, I would bet quite a lot of money that this current top 6 is very different in 15 games' time. Well, not very different, but I would suggest that the playoff 4 of Bolton, Stockport, Bradford, and Huddersfield currently will not be that at the end of this season. So it's kind of a tough question. But Jim, I guess those 4 are the 4 that we answer from. Which one of them would you like to take on?
I think it'd be Bradford. Yeah, just think they're slowly their form is slowly dropping, and if they are to stay in the playoffs, I would imagine that they would be somewhere. Well, they'd be 6th. So yeah, I'd go Bradford. Huddersfield brings back too many bad memories. Bolton, like Rami said, I feel like they could easily get 2nd. Lincoln, I don't think are far off Bolton in terms of getting automatics as well if they keep up the way that they're playing. Stockport are just such a bogey team. Like, I just don't enjoy watching our fixtures against Stockport. I think the last 2 seasons have just really, really, you just sort of have no idea what way it's going to go. So yeah, just by process of elimination, Bradford.
Yeah, that's very fair. I'll probably second that. I mean, if you look at the form across the last 6 games for Bradford, it's the worst in probably the top 10, if not even more than that, in the top 15, with losing 4 out of their last 6. So I actually would probably put forward a case that they don't even end up in the playoffs. So this could just be a waste of time saying this. But with the current 4, I think I'd take on Bradford. I think we could beat them.
Who do you think will make the top 6 then? Do you think it'll be Wycombe or Stevenage? Or Luton, if that?
Yeah, you know what? I think maybe Peterborough.
Seriously?
Yeah, I've been quite impressed with them. Basically, since we played them for the first time, did they beat us twice, or they beat us once and then a draw?
We drew, yeah.
I know their current 4. They lost last time out, didn't they? But I think that they've looked all right. Luton picked up a little bit too. I can't have Stevenage anywhere near it, to be honest, but maybe they do. But yeah, I think there's quite a few teams that are sort of purring, aren't they? And we obviously talk about how Reading are in a decent position, but we're only 1 point ahead of Luton and Stevenage, 2 points ahead of Peterborough, and 3 points ahead of Wycombe. So they're waiting for us to slip up, or anyone else above us to slip up. Right, what have we got? Oh, last one. This one's for you, Rami, but I think you've already covered it over socials. But DK's injury, any time frame, or is it just foreseeable?
A few weeks. He was in a leg brace when I saw him on Saturday. We had a nice little conversation, but he's raring to. He wants to come back so badly. I even said to him, like, the team's missing you, mate. But yeah, no, he's in a leg brace at the moment, so it's a few weeks, and yeah, it unfortunately doesn't look good. It didn't look that bad at Exeter when he got injured, but then looking at him now, you're like, that was quite a bad injury. yeah, kicking studs at full force is something that you don't want to do. So no, still a few weeks. Obviously, Derek might come back Tuesday. You never know. Tomorrow, sorry. Will Keane could be back tomorrow. Randall Williams is still out for the foreseeable. Andy Ridamota, it's a bit of a difficult one. He's not really injured, but at the same time, he's not considered match fit. So, and obviously all the personal issues and stuff like that. So, not sure what they're going to do with that situation. Who else is there? That's it. And Mark's obviously out for a while as well. So
nice. Well, there you go. I can't remember who asked that, but you've got your full injury update there. Right, that brings us to a close then. Exciting times at Reading, I think, with a big win over Wycombe and the welcome of Bolton tomorrow night. Get yourself down to the Select Car Leasing Stadium because it's sure to be a cracking evening of League football under the lights. Enjoy it, both of you too. We'll chat again after, I'm sure. Hopefully 3 points to talk about. And then maybe we can really start getting carried away with the playoff chat. But until then, thanks very much for listening and cheers for joining me, guys.
Cheers.